Airport Land Use Commission is waiting for quorum. We expect to start proceedings at about 2:20. that what I'm reading? Oh. I call the meeting to order at today's regular meeting of the Airport Land Use Commission, or reconvene the meeting. Today's meeting is a hybrid meeting of the Airport Land Use Commission, which participates both in person and digitally. Public may participate digitally in meetings by sending comments to pbscommissions@mendocinocounty.org or via telecomment in lieu of personal attendance. All public comment will be made available to the commissioners, staff, and general public after processing by staff and can be viewed as attachment in this meeting agenda on the Airport Land Use Commission agenda page. To submit public comments via telecomment, please use the telecomment form found at the website. Not reading that. Ask clerk to conduct roll call.
Commissioner Albright.
Present.
Commissioner Babimi.
Here.
Commissioner Beckler.
Here.
And Chair Crane.
Present. Do we have a determination of legal notice?
And legal notices have been determined matter on the agenda.
Agenda item 3, matters from the public expression. Members of the public are welcome to address the Airport Land Use Commission on items not listed on the agenda, but within the jurisdiction of the Airport Land Use Commission. The Airport Land Use Commission is prohibited by law from taking action on matters not on the agenda. Individuals wishing to address the Airport Land Use Commission under matters from the public may do so via email or Zoom. For information on each of these methods, call Planning and Building Department at 707-234-6650 or visit the website. All correspondence will be attached to the item and made available online on Airport Land Use Commission agenda page. If any members of the public are logged into the Zoom meeting, wish to speak under the public expression and have not completed the telecomment form, please use the raise hand feature to allow staff to add you to the meeting. Ask clerk if any requests for telecomment under public expression.
I have not received any.
Are there any members of the public in the room that wish to speak under public expression? Seeing none. Agenda item A4, case ALUC 240002, City of Ukiah.
All right, thank you. Julia Krog, Planning and Building Services Director. I'm presenting this on behalf of Keith Gronendijk today, who's unable to be here. So the request in front of you is a Ukiah Municipal Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan consistency determination for the City of Ukiah to amend existing provisions of the Ukiah City Code to more effectively regulate missing middle housing consistent with the City of Ukiah's 2040 General Plan. As part of the 2040 General Plan, there were goals, policies, and implementation programs included to support the development of missing middle housing within existing Ukiah neighborhoods. The City of Ukiah's application materials, which is attachment A in your packet, provide additional information regarding the proposed ordinance amendments, and I'm just going to briefly summarize those, and then we'll talk through the consistency review. So the modifications are proposed to the Ukiah City Code for the low-density residential R1 district, the medium-density residential R2 district, and the high-density residential R3 district to incorporate changes consistent with the Ukiah 2040 General Plan's density-related analysis and housing goals, such as reduced setback, parking, and lot size requirements. In addition, the city proposes standalone article that will allow a greater variety of housing types, including dwelling groups, subject to limitations regarding unit size, and subject to discretionary review. Further, the city proposes to allow limited commercial uses on a discretionary basis, as well as undertake minor consistency updates and procedural clarifications to address code errors or issues. And in addition, they will incorporate guidelines regarding the California Senate Bill SB 9, which was enacted through government code to codify existing allowances regarding subdivisions and duplexes. That being said, all the development would still be required to be consistent with and follow the procedures within the Ukiah Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan. They are proposing to add an additional requirements section, which would specifically require that any development within any of those 3 residential districts must comply with the more restrictive standards identified in the Ukiah Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan. In addition, the application also notes that any new housing would still comply with noise mitigation measures outlined in the CLUP, and the ordinance does not propose significant changes to land use or zoning that would increase exposure to aircraft noise. In particular, as the allowed density limitations were reviewed and established by the 2040 General Plan, which this Airport Land Use Commission reviewed and deemed compatible on October 20th, 2022. The primary focus of the proposed ordinance from the City of Ukiah is to allow different housing types within existing neighborhoods to realize these densities where appropriate and already evaluated by the 2040 General Plan. Additional ordinance amendments are proposed by the City of Ukiah that align with the city's general plan, including accessory allowances and administrative permits for local agriculture. They refer to that in their application materials as AG2, and regional agricultural policy, and that's AG1. So now to talk about consistency review with the Ukiah Municipal Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan. Pursuant to policy 1.4.1b of the Ukiah CLUP, mandatory review by the Airport Land Use Commission is required for zoning ordinances if they both affect property within the airport influence area and may involve the type of airport impact concerns listed in policy 1.3.1b. Those 4 compatibility concerns are 1, noise, 2, safety, 3, airspace protection, and 4, overflight. There's procedural policies also contained within the Ukiah Land Use Compatibility Plan, it's a mouthful, that are outlining the process for review of zoning ordinances that are referred to the Airport Land Use Commission. So in accordance with policies of the CLUP, there's essentially 3 action choices for considering ordinance amendments. So the first is find that the ordinance is consistent with the UKI ALUCP. Find the ordinance consistent with the UKI ALUCP, subject to conditions and or modifications that the ALUC may require. It's important to note that any such conditions are limited in scope and described in a manner that allows compliance to be clearly assessed. And the third option is to find that the ordinance is inconsistent with the CLUP. In making a finding of inconsistency, the ALUC shall note the specific conflicts or shortcomings upon which its determination is based. Staff reviewed the project for consistency with compatibility policies in Chapter 3.1. And since the adoption of the UKI ALUCP by the Mendocino County Airport Land Use Commission, the City of Ukiah has taken several actions that ensure development within the city is compliant with the CLUP. So on June 30th, 2021, the City of Ukiah adopted Ordinance 1215, which added a section to Ukiah City Code requiring that all development projects comply with the UKI ALUCP. On October 20th, 2022, the Airport Land Use Commission adopted a resolution finding that the City of Ukiah's 2040 Draft General Plan was consistent with also the Ukiah Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan. The City of Ukiah has met statutory requirements required by Policy 3.1.1 within the Airport Land Use Commission's adoption of the resolution finding the city's general plan to be consistent. And the city's existing ordinance, as well as the general plan and the proposed ordinance amendments, comply with Policy 3.1-.2, as there are no direct conflicts identified between the city's general plan or the CLUP. In addition, the proposed ordinance amendment include provisions ensuring long-term compliance with compatibility criteria. The City of Ukiah has established already a review process which is consistent with policies within the Ukiah Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan, and the proposed ordinance amendments do not include any land use conversion as described in the policies of the Ukiah CLUP. Rather, some of the amendments that relate to agricultural zoning district allowable uses align such activities with the city's general plan, which was already determined to be consistent. So as described earlier in the staff report in this presentation and shown in the attachments from the city also includes additional requirements to ensure compliance with the CLUP. And staff has reviewed the additional information provided by the city regarding the 4 compatibility factors noted earlier in this presentation, and no conflicts have been identified with the proposed ordinance amendments as it relates to those compatibility factors. Staff believes and recommends that the Airport Land Use Commission find that the missing middle ordinance amendments are compatible with the Ukiah Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan. The two additional ordinance amendments that I mentioned, AG2 and AG1, which are proposed by the City of Ukiah, staff reviewed these and also did not identify any compatibility concerns with the proposed ordinance amendments, as they will implement existing general plan policies that were previously reviewed for compatibility with the CLUP when the city brought forward their 2040 general plan to this body. Staff also notes, for the benefit of the Airport Land Use Commission, that since the City of Ukiah's general plan has been determined to be consistent with the Ukiah Municipal Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan, that only specific actions, such as the action before you today, are required to be referred to the Airport Land Use Commission on a mandatory basis, and all other referrals are considered voluntary. This is a mandatory referral, though, which is in front of you today. The recommended action is included in the staff report, and staff prepared a tentative resolution for your consideration, which would find the project consistent with the Ukiah Municipal Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan. And that concludes my presentation, and we have representatives of the City of Ukiah in the audience.
Anybody have any questions?
Just for clarity, for the AG2 and AG1, since it's included in the recommendation here, when it says plan including accessory allowances and administrative permits for local agriculture, I know that we're talking about housing. Is that including housing on those ag, or is it allowing for those say multifamily or multi-use housing on those zoning districts as well? I just wanted a little clarification.
Sure. So those two, as I understand, and I'm sure the city can elaborate as well, those two additional ordinance amendments, AG2 and AG1, are not necessarily related to the missing middle housing discussion that is the primary component of this application. Those are separate additional ordinance amendments being conducted by the city for conformance with the 2040 general plan.
Okay, thank you. So we may not see those currently, what the actual ask is in those two under this one then. Is that coming at a later date, or are we just saying yes to them now?
So these accessory allowances and administrative permits for local agriculture and the regional agricultural policy, they were all included in the City of Ukiah's application to us. So you'll see more detailed description in attachment A for those amendments. But when staff was reviewing them, it was unclear if those actually required a consistency review, because wasn't sure that they actually impacted land use activities to the point that they would require a mandatory referral to the Airport Land Use Commission. But since they were included, we went ahead and evaluated those as well, and we didn't identify any compatibility concerns.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for city staff or county staff? We hear a motion?
And if I may, you may wish to call for public comment as well.
Yeah, sorry, skipping ahead.
And I'll just note for the chair, there's no members of the public online at this time, but we do have one individual in the room that looks to be walking forward.
We'll say open to public hearing.
Thank you, and good evening to the Commission. Craig Schlatter, Community Development Director for the City of Ukiah. Thank you for that very thorough analysis, and it sounds like last minute, so thank you, Director Krog, for covering all those points. I really have very few items to add. To answer Commissioner Babini's question, yeah, basically what we're doing is we're batching all of the ordinance amendments that we have that may be coming forward in the next few months. And just briefly talking about that. So, we adopted, as Director Krog mentioned, we brought the draft general plan to the Airport Land Use Commission back in October of 2022. In December of 2022, the City Council adopted the city's general plan. Then on day 1 of January of 2023, we began implementing the general plan. And so we have, with the implementation of the general plan, I think we have right now 5 to 10 different projects related to implementation programs in process. And rather than taking, one ordinance amendment each time, potentially, to be frank, having to wait for quorum that may take 3 to 4 months, we batched the ones that we knew we had on deck and brought them to you right now. And so, as Director Krog mentioned, this is a mandatory referral. We did have an idea, though, with some of these ordinance amendments of the future. So, as many of you may know, once you get momentum going on doing ordinance amendments, you want to stay with that momentum. You can get a lot done very quickly. And so what we would propose to you for something to think about, and if you need to do a agenda item on this, we'd be happy to come back, but potentially having an annual review where the city could bring in proposed ordinance amendments that may impact the land use considerations and completed ordinance amendments. So each year you're seeing, here's what's on deck, here's what looks like may be coming for this year, here's what's been completed, and you could weigh in at that point. And just an idea I had, because we do want to keep moving forward on our implementation, our first implementation programs. We've set a timeline within the general plan for ourselves of December of 2025. So all of these that you have before you are related to that first milestone. Then we have a slew of additional implementation programs that we'll be doing in 2030. So each, kind of 5-year period here, we have deadlines for ourselves. So something to think about as you go forward. Related to the item itself, I'd be happy to take any questions you have about it. But we look for your consistency recommendation. Thank you.
What sorts of parts of Ukiah does this cover? I didn't see any kind of map that called out any ideas. I saw the larger map, but where do you see these missing middle things being implemented?
All the residential zones.
And then the commercial, there was a change that you're looking for there?
I think the change that was mentioned was really related to a new administrative use permit process we'd like to create. This is for primarily local agriculture. So one of our new agriculture element, we have several implementation programs in there. One of them is to create by right processes for like chickens, if you want to do chickens in the city, beehives, that type of thing. So we're trying to make, instead of having a discretionary review for every little thing
So
in
a
Ukiah,
commercial application in the residential zoning, or just in general?
that would be in the residential zoning. Thank
Okay.
you. Yeah. But within commercial zoning districts as well, we're looking at possible policy changes, working with a council committee related to our downtown zoning code. I don't know, maybe we want to take a look, can we create performance standards, for example, when we do performance zoning? So you get away from requiring discretionary review for every little thing and more set the bar of objective performance standards, have people meet that bar, and then they can build what they want to build, so we can kind of get out of the way a little bit. It's something we're just looking at. So this is to open the door for those types of discussions in the future that we'll have with our city council.
Well, I'm not particularly worried about bees or chickens being smushed by airplanes.
And if you recall from staff's presentation, we did not necessarily believe that the ag amendments, AG1 or AG2, really required this compatibility review, but we included it nevertheless because it was part of that letter. So
It makes perfect sense to me. Any other questions for staff? And,
Craig.
we already covered that there was no correspondence or telephone. Got the staff presentation. Anything from the commission?
And for me, I'm happy
We
to
got the
make,
application, the applicant spoke.
I'm happy to make a motion if everyone, yes, okay. I make a motion to adopt by resolution the finding the project consistent with the Ukiah Municipal Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan. Yes?
Do we hear a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, call for the question. Roll call?
Commissioner Beckler?
Aye.
Commissioner Babini?
Yes.
Commissioner Albright?
Yes.
Chair Crane?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
We've done that. And matters from staff?
No matters from staff today.
Matters from the commission? Oh, we'll do that next.
I did have a question for moving into 2025. Does staff have any anticipated things coming forward in the next couple months to ALEC?
We don't have any pending applications right now, but the turnaround on review is 60 days, so I could only really speak to what would be 60 days out from today, so.
No worries, I appreciate it.
It's sort of on the last one. Director Schlatter mentioned the annual thing. I very much would, I think that makes a lot of sense, just to put those together, and then we can study them all at once and kind of look at them holistically instead of onesie-twosie. Other than that, don't have anything. Now we're to approval of minutes.
They've got my name as Ronald in the. It's actually Randall with one L, but anyway, that's the only thing I noticed. Stood out for me.
Good correction.
I know, but.
I've been called worse than that today. I don't-
Can I make a motion to approve the minutes with the amended name change for Randall
Do we
for
have
the
a-
April 4th meeting?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Randall,
Call.
Randall.
Oh.
He's all over that.
Mr. Sensitive.
Roll call.
Commissioner Beckler?
Aye.
Commissioner Babini?
Aye.
Commissioner Albright?
Aye.
Chair Crane?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Can I make a motion to adjourn?
Ooh.
Oh.
You want to
I
take a
am.
second?
Yes.
Okay. That's second by Beckler.
I don't think we need roll call.
I don't think,
Yeah.
I think we're probably
Aye.
okay. I think we do that by consensus. Is
Consensus.
that okay? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everybody.
This is a fast one here.
Once we got going, heck yeah.
Yeah.